What is going on, guys? And in this video what we are going to do is to give it a little bit of practice to our structure usage. So first of all, what I want us to do is to write a simple program that will create a structure of points. So there you go, struct, the keyword struct, and we use the point as its name, as we've seen in one of our previous videos. So we create a struct point structure. So now what we will have here is simply the fields associated with this template. So int x and int y, that's it. So what we created here, okay, make sure that it is not created inside of a given function, it is created outside. We simply created the structure template that now from this template we will be able to create variables of this type. So let's say, for example, we wanted to create a variable of a point type. So what should we use? Should we simply, first of all, let's remove this printf hello world. Should we use something like that? Point, let's say p1. Okay, so point p1. Is that okay? Will it work? Let's try to build and run it. So let's build and run it, and there you go. You can see here a problem. You can see here where it is unknown type name point. So why can't we create a point variable? P1 is the name, point is the structure template, and the reason is very simple, because if we want to create a variable, at least for now, okay, for now, for later on we will also learn how to use the type def in one of the future videos in this section, but for now, if we want to create a structure point variable, we need to use all of this syntax. So struct point, okay, struct point, we create we specify the type, okay, just like you used int x, int y, int z, whatever. You specify the type, and the type is of struct point, and the variable name. And now if you build and run it, just to make sure that everything works, you will see that, okay, the program runs, nothing happened because we didn't print anything and we didn't read anything from the user. But what we can make sure is that this program works and this syntax is probably okay. Right, guys? All right, so also what we want to do is, let's say we want to access these fields and to set some values inside of them. So let's use just printf, enter, let's say x coordinate, okay, and also use it something like that. And also what we would like to use is enter the y coordinate. And we are going to use the scanf function to read these values and to store them. Where are we going to store them? Inside of P1? Is that okay if we are going to use it this way? Probably not, because what we need to specify is the exact field that we want to store the value of x that we want to read from the user, from the console. So p1.x, and use an ampersand here, and also we are going to use the same for p1.y. So there you go, you simply read the values of x and y from the user. And finally, just to make sure that everything worked okay, because we just simply practice in some hands-on, so printf the point is, and let's use here %d and %d, just like, you know, to show it in coordinates. And what also we want to specify is p1.x and p1.y. That's how you do it right. And now let's build and run this program and see what happens. So enter coordinate, let's say 5, and let's say the y coordinate would be 7. So the point is 5, 7, and that seems to be working okay. And now let's make additional example of struct date. So struct date, I love this example. I use it a lot of times when I explain it, this topic to my students. So you're probably going to see a couple of examples that we use struct date. So struct date, and there you go, you specify now the fields inside of this struct. So int day, int month, and int year. All right, guys, Once again, we did not create a variable, we just created a template. And now what we are going to do is something very, very similar. We are going to modify this program a little bit. We are going to create, let's say, my date one. Okay, so my date one will be our variable, and it will be of a struct date type. Okay, so that's how you create a struct date variable. And in our case, the name is my date one, and that's okay. You can also use here your date of birth and whatever, date of anniversary, date of when you graduated, or whatever. Okay, guys? So my date one is, let's just use graduate date. This will be the date of your graduation, okay, something like that. So now let's move on and printf enter, let's say, day. Okay, enter day when you graduated, enter what here we have, enter month, and also what we need to add is enter year, right? And what we want to do is to read these values and to store them inside of grade date dot day. Okay, so the same we will do for month, and the same for year. Okay, so that's simply how we read the values for each of the fields of the graduate date variable that we've just created. That's how you do it. And if we want to print the full date, so we can say the graduation date is, and let's use something like that. Okay, I don't know. Let's use here %d, and %d. And for the first one, we will use, let's say, the year, the month, whatever you like, okay? In every country, they use different formats, so we can specify, first of all, the month, okay? So we will use graduate date, what happened here? Graduate date dot month, graduate date dot day, and graduate date dot year. That's it. And now we are going to build and run it, and we are going to see what happens. So let's say day 5, month 6, and the year is 2021. So the graduation date is on this date, and that's freaking awesome, guys. You see that the program works exactly as expected, and if we want to go over all the steps one by one, quickly, briefly summarizing, first of all, what we do, we create a structure template, specifying the structure name, specifying the fields this structure is going to have. In this case, it's day, month, and year, all of them of type int. In this case, it's int x and int y. There is no reason why we could not have used something like that, float x and float y, or even one of them, it will be x. Okay, there is no problem in mixing up different data types, different types of variables in a structure template. That's okay. And what we have done afterwards is that we created a new variable called graduate date of type struct date, read the values for the fields from the user, and then simply printed out these values to the screen. So I think it's very hard not to understand this flow if you go exactly by the steps I've just mentioned. So I think that's enough for our initial practice, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on practicing. Write this function and these structures on your own. Run the code. Make sure that everything works as expected. And I will see you in the next video.